Hello everybody and welcome to CFO Conversations. I'm your host Paula Kensington and I have the great pleasure of welcoming Michael Joffe into the studio.
Thank you, Paula.
So today we're talking about the pathway to CFO, and for those watching who are aspiring CFOs or even budding accountants just left university and thinking about the pathway, I mean it is a different pathway now, right? I mean, when I was going through the ranks of finance, it was very much a ladder, and I think there's a lot of elements of being in the right place at the right time, and that gets you to a certain level, which maybe still be valid, but really it's about setting your intention and having clarity around how do you make the CFO role. There's a number of different aspects that you need to build upon, and the earlier you do it, I think the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot to be said for budding CFOs, aspiring CFOs, to be looking to opportunities to expand outside of their playground, their bread and butter. I've said for a long time it's critical that CFOs open themselves up and really fight for opportunities to play in more strategic spaces, to get involved in projects, to really embrace what is becoming a business critical around data and insights and technology. I think in our younger years, we grow through the financials and the trial balances and the P&Ls and the balance sheets, but really getting that breadth of exposure is critical in an organisation.
Yeah, and not only the exposure and the learning and the sort of, the commercial aspect, but there's also the network aspect around who you know, where your peers are, and how many people have you got in your network that you can really rely on, and that's not an overnight success.
Agree. I think, still today people default to looking at their network when they need something, particularly those perhaps unfortunately who've found themselves in a position of having to look for the next role by virtue of redundancy, for example. But building that network and fostering that network and utilising that network, but giving back to that network to really broaden your perspective and your insights. And I think as an aspiring finance leader, having a good network of peers across the finance industry in different industries at different levels of that climb to the CFO role is absolutely critical.
Definitely, because you can't wait until you need it to start building it, because that's really rude. And I'm sure you've had, and I've had, people pinging me on LinkedIn and wanting to connect, and then next day asking for my help in finding them a job. I mean, with all due respect, that's a lot of how I earn my revenue these days. So, would you like to pay for that kind of advice?
Yes.
I mean, it goes to why some of the reasons why I do this, CFO Conversations. It's about how do you learn what a CFO does and is thinking about and is worried about, because you're going to have conversations and listen to conversations of CFOs that are actually doing the journey. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is about giving back. And I think, CFOs out there at all levels, there's a responsibility to be giving back, and giving guidance as to, what worked for them as they progress through the roles and through the ranks.
Yeah, I had an earlier conversation around exactly that subject of making sure you've got a peer group, not only for networking purposes, but also when challenges come up in your role and you don't know, you might feel really isolated and you don't know which way to actually make a move.
You don't always have all the answers.
You don't have all the answers, and so where's your peer network of CFOs who have either done it before or can give you different perspectives on how they would do it? Because some of these decisions that we make could be actually career limiting for ourselves, because they are not easy subjects.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to feel like you're on the tip of the iceberg on your own. It's surrounding yourself with other CFOs.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. Cool. So pathway to CFO, it's an interesting and more of a lattice maybe than a ladder.
Yes, correct.
Thanks, Michael.